Hey, I think we have everyone on here. I think the only one I'm missing is Pam Black on here from SWARC.
Dr. Dana Sullivan is actually representing SWARC today, so she is present. Thanks, Carrie.
Yep, absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and unmute everyone on the panel. And if it gets like there's too much feedback, then we can, work through the mute and unmute situation. But I will let you all take it away. Thank you.
All right, so this is the last part of our day. Thank you again, Carrie, for putting everything together. And I think thank you to Western, who provided us with some of the links so that we could fit all of the people that we have on here. So like Brenda was saying, we have representatives from 6 different societies of Kentucky social workers here. If everybody wants to just go around, introduce yourself, what society you're with, maybe tell us a little bit about what got you interested in social work, as well as how people can get involved with your particular organization. Erin, I see you first if you want to go ahead. Okay.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Erin Warfel. I am an instructor in the MSW program at Western Kentucky University. And today I am representing the National Association of Social Workers Kentucky chapter. I'm feeling very energized after this amazing day with what a challenging year it's been. My energy level is like through the roof right now. So thank you all for being here. I'm so excited to see the number of students and social work professionals. NASW is the largest membership organization for professional social workers in the world. That's a pretty big deal. And so your membership in Kentucky not only allows you to be a part of our Kentucky network, but also allows you to be a part of our national network. And so while I'm so passionate about the profession and have been a member of NASW a really long time since I finished my bachelor's degree, I won't tell you what year that was. There's just so many great opportunities, as you've heard today, for you all to be a part of the amazing work that's happening across our state. And while I hope to be able to share more with you about the details of the organization and how you can get involved, the best way is to reach out to your branch chair. And so the state is divided into 9 branches. And if you go onto our website, which is naswky.socialworkers.org, you will be able to identify the person that represents your area of the state. And by connecting with them, you will have lots of opportunities to get involved across the state. So thanks everyone for being here. I'm excited to join you today, and I look forward to our discussion with my colleagues.
Erin, thanks. This is Karen Moore. I will go next. Primarily, Erin did a great job describing National Association of Social Workers. I am a longtime member. I joined when I was in graduate school, and I have never missed my membership dues since then. So I am also currently finishing up my 2-year term as president of the board of directors of the Kentucky chapter. And I can say, having done that, it's just been remarkable and really enjoyable time to work with all these wonderful social workers, to collaborate, to network. One of the great results of being a member is the networking opportunities. And social workers are in so many different organizations and in so many different types of practice. So networking is extremely important. Real quick, I'll just tell you, I've been a social worker for a while, and this was not my first career. Social work is my second career. I got into this later in life as I volunteered as a CASA volunteer, court-appointed special advocate. That opened my eyes, and I thought, oh my, this is going on. What can I do? And I went to graduate school in social work. And so then as a result of that, I have worked in child welfare, the criminal justice system. I have provided in domestic violence, sexual assault. I actually even did a sex offender treatment group. But substance abuse, but the bulk of my time has been in child welfare, and that I am still practicing now as executive director for therapeutic foster care agency here in Kentucky. So wonderful. This has been a great program. Welcome everybody. And I think you'll see the variety in the type of social work organizations that are on this panel. There is something for everybody on this. Thank you.
All right. We can go maybe with Kentucky Society of Clinical Social Work next.
Hello, my name is Kay Hubbard. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and the president of the Kentucky Society for Clinical Social Work. And the purpose of our society is to promote a strong professional image for clinical social workers for our field. We offer multiple networking opportunities through various social events and book clubs. We offer monthly CEUs, which are free for members and a nominal fee for non-members. We also offer trainings and workshops and conferences, all in the interest of promoting clinical social work and helping to educate folks in the profession. We provide education about legislative action that affects social work practices, as well as the folks that we serve. We have a long history of education and advocacy and would love to invite you.
Uh-oh, Kay's frozen on my screen. I don't know if that's true for everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll try to pick up where she left off. How's that? And if she, oh, there you are, Kay, good, okay.
It's telling me my internet connection is unstable. This is the story of my life for the last 9 months. But the best way to join or to find out more about us is to visit our website, which is KYSWLD21. Jen, what did I forget?
That was pretty great, Kay. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Jen Connor Godby, and I'm past president, also with KSCSW. And I don't think you forgot very much. I think like our history is really rooted in the clinical social work model, and we are currently working with the board on developing the new supervision training. So some of you were in our breakout room earlier, and so we're excited about that effort and want to include anyone who wants to be included and has something to offer. You're welcome to join us in that. Jacqueline, you also asked, I'll just say the reason I became a social worker was I couldn't not. Like, I saw the social injustices in the world as a college student, and I was like, I have to do something. So this is what I ended up doing. I've been a part of KSCSW since I'm not from Kentucky, and it would seem like one of the best ways to find yourself professionally in a state where you don't maybe know anybody, or you didn't go to college or graduate school. I won't say what rival where I went, so I don't cause any rifts, but you're all welcome to join KSCSW, whether you're from here or somewhere else. And like Kay said, there's a website. We also just try to, check us out by joining a CE or a book club discussion. We do have one tonight on The Color of Law, which is just one of the most impactful books I've read lately. So I'll invite everyone to come discuss that. It really will be an interesting discussion related to what Representative Scott was talking about in terms of our, I think, civic duty to try and address the systemic racism issues as social workers. So that's all part of our mission as clinical social workers. And it is a big mission, but I think together we have a chance to make a big difference too. So thank you all.
Thank you. If we want to hop over to the Association of Black Social Workers. Oh, she's muted. Let's see. Why don't we skip over to the next one? We can come. Oh, never mind.
Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry. I had muted myself because I heard feedback and I thought it may have been my computer. But hello, I'm Monica Hines, and I am with Western Kentucky University. I'm the assistant field coordinator at the social work department, and I'm very excited to be here today. I've had a wonderful day, and thank you to everyone. I am the president of the Association of Black Social Workers with the South Central Kentucky chapter. We were created by the National Association of Black Social Workers in the 1960s, right around the Civil Rights Movement, to be exact, May 8th in 1968. Our main purpose is to address a number of issues, including the underrepresentation of Black children, the current violence against Black people in America, and the awareness of policies that promote the advancement of Black people. There's a lot of issues that are going out today, and we've talked about a lot of them today, but also just health disparities in the Black community, just things of that nature. We strive to do better and to be better, and to also be a voice and be a sounding board, and to also help those that do not understand, the things that need to be completed as social workers. To join NABSW or ABSW, we have two chapters actually that are active in the Kentucky region, and that's Western Kentucky University and also University of Kentucky. Western Kentucky University is kind of a different hybrid chapter is what we call it, because we have community members, but we also have undergraduate and graduate students as well. And so you're more than welcome to contact me, or you can get on the National Association of Black Social Workers website and to be able to join. We have members that are in our chapter right now that are all over the state. We meet virtually because of the pandemic, but we found new ways to get through things, and it's worked out successfully. And I'm pretty sure I'll be able to share more later on. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. We also have the Kentucky Association of School Social Work, if you guys want to go next.
Hello, my name is Lori Vogel, and I'm the president of the Kentucky Association for School Social Work. We've been around since the 70s, and we provide consultation for social workers in schools. Our organization provides a yearly conference for our members, and we provide CEUs for that. We have many grants that we give that you can apply for within our membership. We have a website if you're interested in becoming a member. I'm going to put the link in the chat, and I will also tell you that our website is KYSWLD21.com. As far as myself, I am an LCSW. I first became interested in social work back when I was actually getting my political science degree at UK. I had the good fortune of being placed at the Kentucky Commission on Women for a practicum, and the director was Marsha Weinstein, who was an MSW. And I used to see that hanging on her wall, and I thought, oh, I wonder what MSWs do. So I talked to her one day, and she kind of told me all about how she's doing macro advocacy in this role that she had as the executive director. So that became really interesting to me. I started working on a paper about pay equity, and that's when it bit me, this feeling of wanting to be an advocate. So I went back to graduate school after I got a job at a spouse abuse center, which is another big issue on the macro level. And I started thinking that I was definitely wanted to go to graduate school. So I did. I ended up at Bluegrass Regional for several years. And after that, I got lucky and got a job in the school, and I've never looked back. So that's kind of how I got here today. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Erin Mcgohan. I am the Central Kentucky rep for KSSW. I'm also a certified school social worker in Bullitt County Public Schools. I'm also licensed as a certified social worker. I decided to get into social work because I just wanted to help people. My undergrad is actually in sociology, and it was during that time that I was kind of too far into that degree that I couldn't make the switch. And so I knew that I could work for CPS with that degree. So that's where I started working. Did that for 9 years. And as much as I loved that position, I decided that I wanted to kind of be more proactive than reactive. So I went back to school and got my master's in social work and decided to specialize in school social work. I really like being on the front end of that and being able to help families before they get to that level of needing CPS involvement. So, you know, I really like helping people problem solve and leading them to resources to help improve their lives.
Thank you, guys. All right, we've got next the Kentucky Association of Social Work Educators.
Hi, I'm Monica Hines, and I'm a professor of social work at Morehead State University, and I'm also an LCSW in a small private practice in Lexington. And so I am currently the president of Kentucky Association of Social Work Educators, and so we are a group just of faculty and professors from all of the schools of social work across the state. And we get together a couple of times a year in the fall and spring for some conferences, and we rotate those amongst the schools of social work throughout the state. And so we get to go to various places and see other campuses and other cities and network. We do a lot of resource sharing and sharing information. And the fall conferences are really focused more on teaching and learning new technology. And each year we have a different theme. And the most recent, I believe, one of the recent ones that we had in person, which was 2019, was we did a whole conference on technology and how to integrate that, which was timely because the conferences in 2020 both got canceled. But we are going to be having one in April 16th, I believe. And the spring conferences are for faculty, but they're also for students. And so we encourage students through their faculty representatives to submit posters and presentations. And it's a great chance for students to get to share their research. And so this spring, the conference is going to be virtual and it's going to be a little different. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like as far as student participation, but students are definitely going to be welcome. And it's going to be hosted by Spalding University this spring, and with a social justice theme. I don't know if they've landed on an exact name, but it's a social justice theme. So we're all looking forward to seeing each other again virtually, and then hopeful that we'll be back to in-person conferences in the fall. But it's just a great association. Those several people in that association who are in field did some collaborating during the last year to help share resources with each other and come up with great ideas for students to be able to do virtual practicum hours and that sort of thing. And so it's just a great place for professors to get to share ideas and what's working well and what's not working well, and share ideas about accreditation and all that. So it's great to be with you all today, and I'll be happy to answer any questions when we get to that.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have the Social Work Anti-Racist Coalition of Kentucky.
Hey, I'm Dana Sullivan, and I am representing SWARC today. It's a great acronym. And we had a couple other folks lined up to do this today, then they couldn't make it. And also, this group is chaired by Cassie Brown, who is the Clinical Society, I believe, and I mean school, right? She's school. And then Melissa Johnson, who's clinical. And so I've been a member. We're really new. Lori Vogel is also a member, and Kay Hubbard has also been involved with this. So anyway, they can also help me out here. And okay, we stand for Social Work Anti-Racist Coalition of Kentucky. And we just formed this past summer. Basically, Brenda put out a call to NASW. I'm also a South Central rep for Kentucky NASW. And put out a call to say, we have got to do something. We cannot sit by. We're social workers. What are we going to do to fight all this injustice and racism that we're seeing? And so that's how we started, and just got together to start having these conversations that must be had to help figure out how we're going to dismantle these racist systems, starting with education and clinical work. And so that's kind of how we got started.
All right. So we
And
do,
we'll talk
we
more
got
about it, right, as we, Lori, you want to add anything?
So we have a bunch of questions that we got. I think Angela is going to take over that part, but we also want to encourage people, if you have questions that come up during this, you can write them into the chat. I think that this is going to be something we post to YouTube, and we can always get to more of the questions later on. So definitely just send those on if you have any.
Sure. So one of the first questions that we decided to discuss was how COVID-19 has affected your practice, and what changes you've made and how those changes will go on into the future. Is there anyone who would like to answer?
So I can answer that. While we've heard a lot today about the challenges related to COVID-19 for sure, it's also presented lots of opportunities. And one of the benefits that we've seen is really the opportunity to connect with social workers across the state virtually. In the past, we've held different branch events or trainings or CEUs, and it's been difficult for individuals to attend, to travel, similar, just like today. What a great turnout for Lobby Day, because we're able to connect virtually. So we're hoping to continue those efforts to offer CEUs, to offer different branch events that will be opened up statewide. So I think that's certainly an exciting thing that's come as a result of the pandemic, for sure.
I think another way that that the pandemic really affected mental health in general was about really kind of bringing to the forefront the importance of mental health and taking care of mental health, and how it deteriorates in situations where people are isolated and unable to connect. And I think that more than usual, social workers really had an opportunity to demonstrate how important we are, not just in terms of mental health services, but just across the board, all of the different kinds of services, the wide breadth of services that we provide, and how that really made a difference for people who were struggling.
Would anyone from the Kentucky Association of School Social Workers like to share with us how COVID-19 has impacted your students and your families, and maybe what the biggest impact to students and families has been?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So in Bullitt County, our students have actually already returned in a hybrid model. So we've been able to, to see them part-time and then virtually, the other part of the time. And really, I think one of the biggest things that we've noticed with students returning is just the emotional toll that this pandemic has taken on them. They're just lacking in so many of those social emotional skills at this point that, we worry for when they come back full time and there's less adults to interact with the kids, because right now we've got half the kids. So, not only are we seeing just that emotional toll that it's taking, but also just anxiety related to coming to school. That has either it's exacerbated now because of the pandemic, or we're seeing it in kids that we didn't see it before. So that's been a challenge. Families are facing even more food insecurity, financial instability, and then really, I know one of my biggest fears is that once this moratorium is lifted on rent, that we are just going to see a surge in homelessness. And a lot of that does fall back, on the school system, because we're usually that first point of contact for families, and the families that are reaching out to get help through our family resource centers, you know, we have a social worker that in our district that does just the McKinney-Vento homeless program, which is a federal program. So we do have some resources for that. So, you know, I think that we haven't even seen yet how much that, you know, this is going to affect our families.
Yeah, I can add to that as well. Being the director of a statewide behavioral health agency, which is also a therapeutic foster care agency, our staff transitioned very quickly into telehealth. It was really, truly amazing to see how committed they were and what they did. However, as we've gone on and on and on into this pandemic, we are seeing it's a disturbing rise in the number of kids, suicide attempts of our foster kids, the extreme mental health issues, an increase in incident reports. We have stepped back up. We are now starting to go back in to do a lot more face-to-face because we were trying to keep our staff safe. So we were doing a lot of telehealth, but now we are going back in more face-to-face because our kids need that. Our kids and families need that face-to-face. So while it has allowed our staff to develop new skills and be creative, and they were trying to engage a 6-year-old in telehealth, you know, it was pretty challenging, and but they did it. And so, but now we're phasing back in, and I think all of our staff are really glad that we're going to be able to phase back in because we're really seeing some extreme mental health issues among our kids.
So, sorry, from the other perspective, when we look at our educators for our BSW students and MS, what do you think like the benefit of COVID-19 and the challenges that it gave us on that side as educators? Do you have any benefits that you can share with us, or any things that you feel have just experiment things that have gone so well that you're going to take it and use it because it's reached more people or different audiences, something like that? We have lots of educators on this board. I know I just sprung that question.
I think one of the benefits has been students that have been maybe forced to be online or to take classes online that wasn't their first choice, have decided that that's something that they want to explore further. Maybe that some misconceptions that they had about online education, and now they see the benefits of that and perhaps want to explore that further. So while, you know, that wasn't something that they ever thought would have worked for them, for some, not all, but some students see the benefit and want to, you know, explore that or pursue that.
Thank you, Erin. I appreciate that. Another really great question we had that really ties into everything we've been talking today as far as social justice and advocacy is, how do you engage practices that promote social, economic, and environmental justice? And then the second part is, how do students get involved with that? Jennifer, would you like to, do you have anything you'd like to share with that?
Sure. So KYSWLD works to connect students and professionals in a couple of different ways. We are connected with the CSWA, which is our national organization, so that we can affect lobbying on multiple levels, both nationally and local, you know, statewide. And so we have an advocacy committee. We typically have a letter writing party every year. We always have, like Brenda said, being part of this coalition is a strong part of what KYSWLD does, as well as the new coalition on anti-racism. So students are involved they can join any of our committees. We have a student member of our board as well, and we hope to be able to invite more students and professionals to consider leadership positions in our association, because I think by being a leader, in association, it gives you an opportunity to have more of a voice, like these kinds of events where you can start to connect and network with other people. And by working together, then we can come up and use everybody's good ideas about how do we impact change, who do we need to talk to in order to make a difference. So yeah, I think, and I'm glad whoever asked the question added so many aspects of it, because they're all connected, right? Environmental advocacy is so connected with racial injustice and poverty. And so, and what we see is that our most vulnerable patients and clients and the people that we work with are impacted at all of those levels. And so I think joining together as associations is one of the best ways we can not get too isolated in this field or get burnout or feel like it's just an uphill battle and you're not going to get there, because it can be overwhelming too when you try to impact all of those different areas at the same time. Yeah. Oh, one more thing we also do, I forgot that I wanted to add, we offer scholarships for advanced training in clinical social work and also for clinical supervision. So I mentioned we're working on the new supervision training, but we want people to get quality supervision, and we offer money for students to be able to apply for doing that, as well as awards for people who are who have made such a difference in our field. So we want to recognize them and thank them for all those contributions.
Thank you, Jennifer. Would anyone else like to share how their discipline in social work is engaging practices that promote social, economic, and environmental justice?
Well, the National Association of Black Social Workers and the Association of Black Social Workers all across the United States, there's several things that we do in order to ensure that we are practicing on all of those different levels. We have a campaign this year that we're calling the Wellness Warriors. And so we are trying to ensure that we are committing to the vision that we have for NABSW, which is the 7 principles of Saba. And so ensuring that we're including unity and self-determination and collective work and responsibility. And so we do that by having task force for certain things. We campaign throughout all our communities and have town hall meetings and, discussing those initiatives in each state on different levels. And we also have African-centered practices and exam preparations, and also health and behavioral health things that we discuss, also with financial and spiritual and community and organizational activities that are all around and focus on the Wellness Warriors campaign for this year. So this year, that's what we're all focusing on in our chapters individually, but also collectively as a whole. And so this year we'll also have the NABSW National Conference, which is the call of action. And so it's all about, making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing on each level, and also being committed to enhancing the quality of life and empowering through advocacy. So that's very important to us. And just also out there and trying to advocate on the behalf of those who cannot. So.
Yeah, Monica, I love when you were talking about Wellness Warriors. It sounds like such a holistic concept. You are touching every aspect of the human being. That's amazing. I'd love to hear more about that and come check it out, because that just sounds like that's what we do. It's about every aspect of the human being and all of our disciplines, regardless which one we're in. We nurture and touch every single aspect. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's amazing. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Kudos to you all. I'm pumped about this. I'm going to have to look up more about Wellness Warriors. That's amazing. Here was a great question. I love this question. I think in the past couple years, we've had a lot of opportunities to check our own implicit biases in many different arenas of our lives. And so one of the questions that was brought up in our chat was how our school social workers, and I'll open this up to all our different disciplines we have today, working with teachers or other people in their agencies to fight against implicit bias. I know we talked about this at NASW a couple of times, so it's something that's super important right now to do.
Well, one thing that our district did in general was to start trainings on implicit bias. So that has been opened up a lot of conversations that you can have with teachers. When you feel like you see something that seems a little odd, you can kind of bring that up and talk about students and just kind of what their basic needs are. And so that's kind of something that we strive to do with our students. In the school system, the whole point is advocating for equitable education for all students, and whether that means a student that has a disability, a diverse student, a student in poverty, our goal is to try and make sure that our students are all on an equal playing field. So that's something that we continue to work toward, and our association provides professional development for our members to work toward gaining those skills that we can then pass on to our teachers and on to our students.
Does anyone have any like real life examples or anecdotes they can share with us about implicit biases, how they recognize them within themselves, if they feel comfortable sharing that, or things that they do, practices that you do yourself to make sure you're checking your implicit biases as we work with many populations?
I think it first starts with self-awareness. It comes from the self first. And once we realize what our biases are, we can't instill them on others. And I think that's something that I practice when I'm in class all the time. I talk about our personal values and how our personal values cannot go on, outside of what we feel is important does not mean that's what our clients are going to feel. And so it's you have to practice what you preach. And so you have to adhere to those NASW code of ethics. You have to adhere to all those things and, ensuring that you're doing what you're supposed to as a profession. And regardless if you feel like it's right or wrong, but you also have to look at the bigger picture and see who is it affecting, because it may not only just be affecting you, but it could be affecting other people. And so just because it's not affecting you, you need to look at everything else and look at the big picture and not just of what you think. And so I think that's the biggest thing about implicit bias, is that you have to take a step back and see what's going on, because I give myself self-checks and reality checks all the time. And so I think we, as a profession, we have to continue to do that. And just because we think that one situation may not be as bad as another, wrong is wrong. And so as a social worker, we have to continue to identify those, and we have to either say, yes, we're going to do that and step up to the plate, or the other. Sorry, that's all.
If I could piggyback,
I'm very passionate, sorry.
I want to piggyback, Monica, on what you said about self-checks and awareness, because I think a big part of that, something that's been mentioned a lot today, is the connection with our colleagues. And so for me, part of my self-check is connecting with trusted colleagues to say, this is how I'm thinking about this situation, or this is how I'm, viewing this. But what are your thoughts? And is there something I'm not considering, or help me to kind of expand my view? And so I do that regularly. I'm a big processor, but I think connecting with your colleagues or your professors or your supervisors or other people that you trust to consult with about your perspective on things can be really helpful.
Yeah, and I'll just piggyback on that, Erin. Like, I think that when you do that, or even when you don't do it, but it's offered to you, it's really important to be open. I think sometimes people's gut reaction can be defensive or reactionary. And when you're getting feedback that you don't quite know where someone else is coming from, or it doesn't fit your current worldview or your bias. So being open to all that feedback and really being able to seriously consider other perspectives, even when it feels perhaps constructive or critical to your own, I think has helped me personally, and is something I really try to make sure I open up my students and those under supervision to consider.
One of the conversations that I often have with folks that just kind of internally, but also with folks that I'm supervising, is about countertransference and about how you're feeling about that concept of countertransference and how you're feeling about the individual interactions that you're having with people and how some of those implicit bias come out in those interactions, whether that be clinically or professionally or otherwise.
Yeah, a very real story that I can tell that really opened my eyes, and I had to do a real check for myself. Is many years ago, I was working with a assistant principal to create class lists for the school, and we were, working through the lists, and I realized that we were putting the kids whose parents were not going to complain in a not so great teacher's class, and we were putting the kids whose parents would complain in a very good teacher's class. And then I realized, wow, the kids that's parents won't complain are the kids who are from, diverse backgrounds, who are kids whose parents are unable to, come up to the school and complain. And it really shook me. And I really had to think, why are we doing this? We should be doing the opposite. We should be giving the teachers, the great teachers, the kids who need that teacher. And it was very difficult. And it was a great experience. And I'm glad that it happened, because from then on, I was able to understand that, that is implicit bias. That is institutional racism. And so it was, sorry, just a hard memory to come back on.
Oh, Lori, thank you so much. The four of you who have responded shared so many different things. Lori, first of all, we're human, so thank you for letting your human emotion be shown here, where we're all about humanity, right? So awesome. Thank you so much for being vulnerable. And I want to tie that back to what Jennifer was saying, that we need to be open and vulnerable, just like was spoken about in our rally, right? That to check those implicit biases with our trusted colleagues, as Erin was talking about, gives us that ability to be open and vulnerable and to grow. And I think it's really important what Erin says, they need to be trusted colleagues, right? And when we were talking about our code of ethics, as Monica was talking about before, for all of our students who are on here, I was a student not too long ago, and I remember feeling like I kept choking on the code of ethics, but it really is like, it is our compass. It is how we go and where we go and who we go to. So it is super important, especially when we're talking about advocacy and social justice, that the code of ethics, they are our stepping stones, and that the people that we meet with to talk about, that they are also walking on those same stones for our code of ethics. Thank you all for sharing with that. I think it's a super important topic, and we affect people, as you all said, in many different ways, and our biases come through sometimes when we don't even know that they're coming through. Another really great question that we had, it's a two-part question, we can kind of squish them together, is where do we see social work in our state in like 5 to 10 years? What are the projected needs and issues of the citizens of Kentucky, and how are we as social workers going to be able to address those?
I'll start that conversation. The needs are great. The needs are extensive. The needs are great. We heard Governor Beshear say that Kentucky has the highest rate of child abuse of all states in the country, right there. But that is all connected to economic inequality, social inequality, and it's not new, but it's coming to the forefront, environmental inequality. All those things go together. There is a lot of inequities in Kentucky. I don't think that's that unusual from other states, but I think the poverty in Kentucky is a factor as well. So that the needs are great. This has never been a better time to be a social worker, because you can be busy. There's so much for social workers to do. and we have to take care of our kids and families. So I think that is a huge priority for the state.
Okay, Karen, thank you so much. Governor Beshear has spoke last year at Lobby Day and this year at Lobby Day about making those priorities and about increasing the number of social workers we have to address that, so we can advocate and hold them accountable for that. Continue to see if that occurs, right? Yeah.
Definitely.
And I just want to say, I hope that we can also continue to reach out to him as an ally to help us with, we talked about the changes in licensure and clinical supervision, but our associations have also worked together in collaborations to work on issues around exemptions to make sure that all social workers or people who are doing social work, which is not all licensed social workers. As we know, most of the board complaints come from people who aren't licensed. And so we want to keep, as a society, to continue to challenge our legislature and our constituents, the citizens of the Commonwealth, to push for more education and training and support for social workers. I see that in the next 5 years as being huge, that it might be an opportunity for us to really tackle those exemptions and to help people get the training and support that they need.
I think
in school social work, we would love the exemptions to go away because we are an exempt agency, and we're becoming the first place that people go to when they have mental health concerns. And unfortunately there aren't enough school social workers in our schools, but I would love to see in the next 5 years that to change.
Well, Lori, I hope we can work together on it. I think, religious organizations, the Cabinet for Protection and Permanency, the schools, the other nonprofits. I mean, so many social workers are in all these places with exemptions, and it does also cloud our image, I think, as social workers when there are people practicing various forms of social work without a license. So I do think that it's an opportunity for our associations to keep working together.
Would anyone like to elaborate a little bit more on the importance of being licensed? I know we have a lot of students on here, and sometimes those are questions that come up a lot. As a student, we often think about all the work that goes into licensing and perhaps the financial aspect of in licensing. So if you could share with us the importance of being licensed social worker, I think that would be awesome.
Well, I'll just say I work for UK in the medical school, and so I train doctors. I don't think you would want a doctor who didn't have a license to operate on you or to prescribe you medication. I think the work we do is no less important and clinical, and it like I said, it floors me that we have these exemptions, because really I think we undermine the importance and legitimacy of our own work if we don't advocate for licensure and become licensed to say, hey, this is important work that we are doing. All of you have worked hard to get your master's degree, and you will work hard to be under supervision and improve your practice, regardless of what level or at what place that you choose. So I think it's imperative for us all to get licensed. And like Lori said, I know it's hard in different settings, but I think that the more you can talk about it and get informed, hopefully as a collective, we can also make it an easier path, more direct. Not necessarily it will always be cheaper or easier, in the sense of we want to have high standards. We want people to know that being a social worker is something different than other professions. So I think that it's not easier in the sense, but just more clear. Hopefully that programs like this help everybody understand that you know what to do in order to get licensed, and you're encouraged by all of us in the profession to go forth and do that, and we'll be here to support you.
There was a question. Oh, sorry, go ahead. No, sorry, maybe it was just feedback. There was a question about lobbying and advocacy in the future, and how we have through the pandemic, used virtual forums as this to lobby and to advocate. And is that something that we foresee as continuing to be a strength and beneficial? Does it have a place in the future? How are things going to look the same or different?
I'm hopeful that it continues. I think it definitely has a place. Like I mentioned earlier, just, the ease with which we can have our voices heard without even stepping outside our front door or changing out of our pajama pants for the day. Those are kind of the unspoken benefits, but seriously, we are able to connect with so many people across the state and able to connect with our legislators and have our voices heard. So I'm really hopeful that the virtual aspect continues.
And I think, as the panel of legislators this morning indicated, it is really important for us as citizens and social workers to be involved with them and bring issues up to them. So whatever best way we can do that, through telehealth, letter writing, calling. I know I call the Capitol a lot and to express my opinion. All of those things are important. And I would say the national organization for NASW also, there's a federal level of advocacy that they do. So they are also representing members federally for things like they're advocating for bills on social work safety and student debt relief. So there's not only, it's very important locally to do that too, but we can also advocate through lobbying or legislating at the federal level as well.
Don't forget, if you're listening to our panel and you have any questions, pop them over in the chat field. We'd love to see them.
Yeah, I think, oh, sorry, go ahead, Dana.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just, it's awesome to have all of these different organizations represented. I think since we have so many students listening, it could be a bit overwhelming to, think about where do I begin or how do I decide which one I want to get involved with, or is it, possible to be involved with more than one? Are there any sort of recommendations or guidance on how people might go about, just getting started? I know you touched on it a little bit, but in terms of picking the right sort of organization for each person?
Well, I just will say you could be a member of more than one. Yeah.
Well, I think that just even joining an association is really just kind of the first step to getting more involved. And that's really why I even reached out, joined KYSWLD. And soon after, I reached out to Lori and I was like, I want to do more. I want to get more involved. How can I do that? And so that's how I, got on the board. And it's just been, one of the best things that I've done in my career. You've got the, yes, the networking, but you also have the support, of your colleagues, and it can make things feel less scary, especially when it, comes to advocating and the advocacy work and reaching out and doing that work. You've got that support and that kind of safety net. So I would just encourage anybody just to pick one and join and just start there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I'm guessing that many schools of social work have student organizations as well. And I think that's a great way to start to get involved and connect with your peers. And from there, those connections kind of grow and we're able to then learn more about our membership organizations. But as students, connect with your peers, connect with your field instructors, connect with your professors, and just start a conversation, have conversations about what's happening, across the state and within your own program and how you can take an active role in that. I think that's a great place to start.
Absolutely. And we also, KYSWLD has a student membership rate. Students can come for free to our CEs just to get connected. If there's a topic you're like, I'm interested in that, you can email Kay and I directly, or anyone on our board. You can pop into a board meeting on Zoom. There's so many ways to get connected that we welcome your feedback and your participation. And I just have to agree with Erin that like being part of an organization has really made my career and profession and involvement more, it's richer, it's more connected, it's more supported. And so I can't really imagine where I'd be without it.
Yeah, I would think now during this pandemic too is a good time because we don't have as many opportunities to connect in ways that we would normally out and about in the community. But because we have these virtual meetings, there's still sort of a way to get face-to-face contact, to get to know each other, to build, you know, the different connections with people.
And one thing I just wanted to add, like Jennifer, as you are moving from a student into your professional role and you are licensed and need those continuing education credits, these organizations are an excellent way to, you know, find out about those and learn about some really awesome things that are happening across the state as far as continuing education. And NASW offers lots of free CEUs for members and students. So as we've talked about the importance of being licensed and then the importance of continuing our education and remaining competent in our field, CEUs are going to be essential for that.
Yes, I also wanted to just talk just a little bit about SWARC. I'm going to put the mission statement in chat, and we have a couple of CEUs coming up. We're going to do a book club about the book, So You Want to Talk About Race? And I put that also in the chat, and you're going to see that. That's some free CEUs. And I just also wanted to say that one of the things we're planning on doing is really kind of getting together to figure out a clear and concise scope and purpose, which will result in a specific list of recommendations for the profession of social work in Kentucky, and other chapters have done this, such as in Illinois. And then we're going to be reaching out to the other organizations to support that and to endorse that and to give us feedback on that. So that's going to be coming up, and you're going to be hearing a lot more about that. Sorry, I know that wasn't exactly an answer to a direct question. I wanted to make sure I got that in about SWARC. Thank you.
No, Dana, don't apologize. Thank you so much. If anyone has anything that they'd want to say to explain their organization or how they can get involved more, please feel free to do that. It feels like we're wrapping up our question sessions here with this panel. If anyone has any other questions, we do have in the chats how to reach every organization. Also, you can go to the Facebook page for Lobby Day and put it out there, and people from all of these organizations will be able to check those and get in touch with you. I do encourage you to get in touch with a professional organization. There are so many countless benefits for students and professionals. I was in the organization NASW as a student and now as a professional, and it is it's amazing. It's really such a benefit. I'm going to give a few more minutes just in case someone else has something they want to put into the chat for a final question. Don't be shy. This is what we're here for. Does anyone on the board have any little tidbits of wisdom they'd like to share while we wait just a few moments to see if anybody has any further questions? You all have been amazing. Thank you for giving your time to this panel and for each organization. Despite the organization that you're a member of, it benefits all of us as social workers in our profession. So thank you so much for all of you for doing that. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. We are going to wrap up the day here in just a minute with just a few more words from Brenda. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute you.
Hey everyone, on behalf of social workers everywhere, I just want to give a huge shout out to each of you for attending this amazing first virtual program, which has far exceeded our expectations. We had over 700 people registered, so a shout out to a lot of people who are watching in classrooms together. I also want to thank the amazing Social Work Lobby Day Committee, all of whom you have seen faces and voices today. And when we send out a survey, we're going to list every name so we can continue to give shout outs for great work. But in closing, I want to really highlight Carrie Cole, who last year joined our Student Social Work Lobby Day Committee. And it was clear from the first moment that this was going to be somebody that was going to take the ball and run the field. And so we want everybody to really recognize all the voices here today, all of the different presentations, but also the power that you have to be part of our Lobby Day presentations. And let Carrie be the perfect example that once we get our fingers on you, you're not leaving, you're not going anywhere. And we're going to just let you rock and roll, because honestly, we could not have done this virtual presentation without Carrie. Carrie, we just love you. And yes, your dog needs a walk, and I think you need a margarita. So any questions, feel free to reach out to us. CEUs, check your registration from yesterday that Carrie sent out, and send that back to me. I'll get you your CEUs. And Carrie, I'll send it back to you for your last hurrah for 2021.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. This was just a really great chance to connect with social workers really all over the state. I think that we had an even bigger reach than we do during, in-person events. So thank you so much for being patient with everything that comes with running a virtual day. I am getting the YouTube videos uploaded now, so those should be ready in the afternoon. I'll post it on our Facebook page and also send out an email to everyone registered so that they can go and view all the videos there. And the KYSWLD21@gmail.com email will stay open. So if you have any questions, have any issues with CEUs or accessing these videos, feel free to reach us on there or on the Facebook page. But thank you so much. And it's been a really great day, just surrounded by social workers. I love this profession, and I'm just so thankful that, we're so strong here in Kentucky. So thank you so much, everyone.